Today we are talking about contours. Hi, my name's Ben. I'm a UK-based mountain leader, and on this series you will find information and entertainment on how to nurture health, stay safe and have fun on your mountain adventures. I'm working straight out of this book. I have done a review on it. I will link it up there. If you have already watched my review on the book, I will leave a link in the description below so you can go and get it. So what are contours? Contours are those like curly, wavy lines on a map. What do contours do? Contours shows the shape of the ground. When you're looking at the map, yeah, it's flat, but the contours are trying to give you some depth perception. It's almost making it 3D. And the more that you practice looking at a map, and the more that you practice being out on the ground and then relating the ground to the map, you start to see how it works. How do they work? The contours work by providing us with information about the ground that we're walking on. The information of how you're going to travel through that land. Here's an example of how contours work. So this is a picture that I took in the Fisherfield Forest in the Highlands. I'm stood in the valley and I'm looking straight at this mountain. Now here's that very same mountain on the map. So you can see the shape of the contours. You can see the shape of the mountain here. And then if we come out here, this is where I'm stood. So now if we go back to the picture, you can actually see the shape of that mountain. When you're working with contours, look at the ground, the shape of the ground, and then relate that to the map. Here, I can hear you thinking, but Ben, what if it's foggy? What if it's cloudy? What if you can't see? What if you can't see that mountain? Well, I'm going to come back to that in a minute. So continuing with how the contours work, the closer together they are, the steeper the ground. Further apart they are, the flatter the ground. Is that even a word? The less steep the ground. Those squiggly lines that look like the printer just blotched ink all over the place. Well, that's showing you that it's extremely steep. It's showing you that that's a crag. It's like a drop, basically. So when you see that, like, unless you're a rock climber, you kind of want to avoid that territory. Why do we use contours? Why can't we just draw a picture to show the sides of a mountain? Why use contours? Ordnance Survey Map and OS Map, every contour you see there is 10 meters apart. 10 meters up, and if you're walking down, it's 10 meters down. In a Harvey's map though, it's 15 meters. It allows us to calculate how long it's going to take us to get up the mountain, to get down the mountain. So the contours really help with direction and timing and pacing and navigation in general. So that brings me back to the question about if it's really foggy and you can't see, how are contours useful? I use the contours more than anything on the map, even in the fog, because I can feel what the ground's doing underneath me. For example, if I'm looking to go to onto a saddle of a mountain, so imagine you've got a summit here and a summit here, and then they meet like this, so that naturally the ground will come down and they meet, and it looks a bit like a saddle. I want to get into the middle of that saddle and it's really foggy and it's windy. I'm walking downhill, which is right, but the ground seems to be getting steeper on my right hand side. I know that I'm coming off the saddle and going down the side of the mountain, so then I can readjust. By looking at the contours on the map, I can then say to myself, the ground should feel like this. This is where you've got to practice, lots of practice. My advice would be, if you're wanting to become a mountain leader, go out into the fells and start learning how to use contours. If you can learn contours, if you can learn how they look on the ground and how that relates to the map, the way it feels, then once you've got that, it's so much easier to see the map. It's so much easier to be able to pinpoint where you are and just do that over and over again. Obviously, don't just take a map, like have your compass as well, because if the weather comes in, you need to be safe. That is contours, guys. I hope you found that helpful. I will be talking about contours again. That is it for this week's episode. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell because that will notify you every time I upload. Give me a thumbs up. Let's have a dialogue about this. Hit me up in the comments below. In a bit.